I'm Russ Kickle and welcome to another episode of American Reef, where today we're going to take a unique look at Sanjay's 500-gallon reef tank. So when I say unique, what I mean a unique look is, there have been many videos done on Sanjay's 500-gallon reef tank. We've done many videos here on our YouTube channel, and actually one of the ones that I think is probably the best one is actually done by Reef Builders, probably maybe 6-ish months ago by Jake Adams. Where he did an absolutely stunning job at capturing the reef tank of what I believe what it looks like in person. And he also captured like a good bit of the stories behind the corals, etc. And so when you look at that tank, right, a lot of video has been done kind of capturing it, the life support systems, etc. But nobody's ever actually done one where you catch some of the bioluminescence. And that is what's on today's video. And it's funny how this story or this video actually came to be. And I give all that credit actually to Mike Paletta. He was actually at Sanjay's and they were kind of doing their thing. And I guess he always pesters Sanjay on, hey, let's turn those blue lights on. And we know that Sanjay's not a big fan of the blue lights. And I guess one day he actually got him to hit the blue lights on. And after he had left Sanjay's house that day, I think he may have been 10 feet out of the driveway when I got a call. And I heard nothing but basically a child on Christmas morning, right? The excitement of Mike that day. And the rest is history, so to speak, and you will see that on today's video. Before we actually bring up the interview, the premise of the interview is basically that tank has been up and running for well over 11 years, and Mike basically talks to Sanjay about what he has done over those 11 years, and basically things that he's done to avoid kind of that old tank syndrome. And you'll see basically somewhere midstream where you'll see a lot of the bioluminescence, and then I kind of scatter it all throughout. Again, it's really just a beautiful tank, and I'm sure you'll appreciate it. Some things before we actually bring up that video. Again, if you haven't checked out the bulk reef supply videos, this week they did a BRS Investigates, and they did it on T5 light bulbs. When should you replace them? Again, excellent videos, right? Because there's a lot of videos of hey, you should replace them, every 6 months, every 8 months, every 12 months, that sort of thing. Well, they actually put it to the test, and they got to measure PAR values, spectrum, etc. And again, they put fact versus, what you hear you should do. And again, especially if you're a T5 owner, worth watching. As well, Premium Aquatics released another set of videos on coral washing. So again, both very good resources. Check them out on the YouTube channels. Again, Bulk Reef Supply and Premium Aquatics. And again, if you're looking for great marine products, you can always check out the Tunzi products, because again, we know that they are built to last, as all Tunzi products are. And what separates them between any other reef products, at least that I've found out, is usually out of the box, all Tunzi products have 2-year warranties, right? And you just don't find that in most other products you get. So again, if you're looking for any kind of reef product, check out the Tunzi products. And then lastly, if you're looking for what I consider one of the best foods on the planet, check out American Reef's HPD. And you can find that at AmericanReefHPD.com.
So we're here to celebrate pretty much the 10-year anniversary of this tank. It's actually a little over than 10 years.
Yeah, it's 11 years now.
It's gone through a lot of ups and downs in that, for whatever reason, things have been wiped out and back and forth. But you can see he's got it back to the brilliance and the productivity that he once had it at. He's moved some stuff out that he didn't like. I was here in November, and he was cleaning things out. And then I came back in December, and it looked like he hadn't touched the tank because everything had grown in already. As we mentioned in the previous video, nobody grows corals faster and healthier than Sanjay does. The only shortcoming he has, he doesn't run enough blue light, so you can't see the real colors of the corals.
Sure you can.
But
I
other than that,
Actually, that's just it. You see the color, right?
You see the color.
Yeah.
You don't see the color.
no. What's interesting though is like on this Oregon tort, he got this tort from another tank, and when he originally got it, it was a pale
blue.
purplish blue. It didn't look anything the same, and over the course of 6-7 months, it's turned into the exact same color as the other one.
Right.
Which is rather interesting. Someone who gets to see it every month or two to see that because it's a huge colony. The other funny thing is when he got it, it had no branches on it because they were selling off all the branches. It was basically a ball of Oregon tort. Now it actually starting to look like a tort because it has branches again.
Right.
So, and Sanjay, as I said, grows them faster than anyone. And this coral looks stressed, but it's back to being fully healthy again. And as you can see in here, pretty much everything is as healthy as you could want corals to be. And for most of us, this is what you want your tank to look like. And after 10 years, Sanjay really hasn't had the old tank syndrome. He's wiped it out a few times.
Once.
Twice.
No?
Well, that was a continuous one for like a year.
Well, that was the whole flatworm problem.
Flatworm problem, temperature
What, did
problem.
Mike give you those
problem.
No, I didn't give him the acro eating flatworms.
No,
No,
he didn't give me those.
no. Nor did I make his controller not alert him when the temperature went to 90 degrees. So I can be blamed for a lot.
Okay.
Sanjay is not my ex-wife, so he can't blame me for too much. No, you can't even talk now.
So 10 years, right?
Plus,
Yeah, it's 2006 November is when it was set up.
Okay.
So it's 11 years.
Would you do it again?
Do it again?
Do you know how? You know
I mean,
when
I'm
you
still
get,
doing it.
yeah.
But when you get married, it's always the in your 10th anniversary.
Hey, one
your
wife is
20th
enough for me. I'm not like Mike.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, we're gonna get some Facebook messages on this one.
So you're still doing it, and the question was, would you do it with this again? Would you do it bigger, smaller?
No, I wouldn't go bigger.
So, okay.
No.
So you
No, if I was younger, I would make that mistake. But
Yeah, I
think
was younger and I made that mistake. I went with the 1200.
You're
The
right.
best tank I ever had was the 540 I had. And that's why I'm doing another 500. To me,
Yeah.
this is the perfect size tank. You
I
can
re-
manage it.
Yeah, I've reached the point where I have to call Tony now to help out every time I have to do anything major with this tank.
And I have a new young wife who still has good eyes, so she can be lowered into the tank to take care of stuff.
So you both need younger individuals.
Well,
to
as we
maintain
all
your
know,
brother.
the hobby is a young man's hobby. We've gotten smarter though. Sanjay has his tank, so basically everything can be maintained outside. My new tank, unlike my current 300, where I have to be like a 17-year-old gymnast to work on the stuff inside,
Right.
everything is going to be moved away. Sanjay has shed the light on me. Make it easier for yourself as you get older, so that you can take care of it.
It's harder to take care
Yeah,
of.
the rule in the whole hobby is the easier things are to do, the more likely you are to do them. So in the new tank, I'm going to do it like Sanjay does. The skimmer's going to be away so I can clean it more easily. Water changes are going to be easier. Maintaining the tank and affecting the pumps and everything is going to be easier. I'm making it easier on myself. Is it going to be as aesthetically pleasing as my current tank? I hope so. It's going to take time for the corals to grow in and fill in. But that's one of the things I
2
noticed.
years. 2 years old.
2 years.
Two?
Yeah, but we're getting old. 2 years is a long time. I'm just kidding. But one of the things I noticed on Sanjay's tank, looking back on pictures before I came up, is actually how little live rock he has in here and how much the corals have filled in every spot. I mean, this is a 500-gallon tank. It doesn't have probably 250, 300 pounds of live
I
rock.
started with about 200.
Yeah, so
And I've removed a few more pieces
over the years.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's interesting considering when we all started, the rule was 2 pounds of live rock per gallon.
Right.
Then it went down to 1 pound.
I can imagine 1,000 pounds of live rock in here.
No,
Right.
so now you're talking about 2/5 of a pound
Right.
per gallon. I mean,
And now, do you still have the live rock in the sump?
There's a few pieces that I removed from here that I just threw into the sump.
So you still have it in the system, not in the display.
Yeah, it's all covered with sponges, and it's, you know, it's not in a state where I can even bring it back in here.
Right.
It's full of Aptasia and sponges.
Yeah, it's amazing how many aptasia can live in the
Right.
sump of a tank.
Yeah.
No, and that's what's interesting is how many fish you have, but you have like the Mulleri butterfly over there, and I can see him
No,
picking at stuff.
That's the marginalis.
Marginalis, sorry. The Marginalis butterfly, and you can see it picking at the rocks, making sure there's no aptasia or anything else in here.
Yeah, that single fish took out every Aptasia from here and keeps it Aptasia free.
One fish.
One fish. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but if you look at my sump and you look at the back of my tank, you'll see Aptasia I have.
Or you look in the overflows.
Yeah.
Anywhere where he's not,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and that's
There's
just pretty
Aptasia
much in
everywhere.
every tank. Like I had those,
Yeah, you had the foul
I
fish.
had the blue anthilia that was killing everything. It's not anthilia, there's the name for it I can't remember.
The little blue clove polyp.
Yeah, it was all over everything. Suddenly the Regal angelfish found that he liked it. It's all gone now. But in the other tank, connected to it, it's still there. So all you gotta do is find one fish that eats the pests.
Right. Yeah, and the Lenardi loves bristleworms.
Yeah, that's why I have a green bird wrasse that does the same thing.
I'll take some bristleworms from my overflow box in the sump, big ones, and I'll throw them in there, and he just swallows them whole.
And you can also see his schools of Anthias. There's lots of Rubrosquamus. You can see all the orange females swimming around with one male.
Yep.
The Lenardi, the Parajoculatus, Multifasciatus, bunch of different tangs, a bunch of different damsels.
Yeah, there's a pair of Shepardi in here. There's a pair of golden angels in here, which you never see because they're very cryptic fish. They always stay hidden in the back somewhere. See them once in a while.
Right,
But it's kind of nice. I have 64 fish in here.
And you wouldn't know that.
No.
You only know it when they feed. When the feeder
Yeah.
comes on, everybody comes out.
Right.
Right. But yeah, there's 64 fish in here. So I like them smaller, and I like a lot of them.
Right.
And like fish that occupy all niches in my tank. I threw some fish in here that I'll probably never see, ever. These little circus gobies, they call them.
Yeah.
They are the most cryptic fish. I put 4 of them in here. I don't see any of them. And I'm sure when I tear down my tank, I'll find them.
You'll be 70 by then, and that'll be your kid's turn down the tank. So then we go, Dad, look what I found.
As long as Tony is not 70, I'm still okay.
Yep. Yeah, Roseanna, you heard how this works.
So you have a 10-year-old tank, right?
Roughly 500 plus gallons. How big is the sump?
I've never siphoned the sand. I've
Ever.
never siphoned the sump, ever.
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 Which is amazing.
And
So there's a ton of detritus in here.
Ton of detritus in the sump.
Some of it, the fish just
Now you can see
decide
here.
to blow some more off. That's the Lenardi doing his thing today.
Right.
But do you think that him keeping the sand stirred up has helped keep detritus from settling in
Right.
and allow it to be blown out in the water column, settle in the sump?
Could be.
Because
be.
you don't. I was gonna say you don't have filter socks or anything.
I don't
like
run
that.
filter socks.
Right.
No.
No.
And you don't have any other sand sifters in here but the Lenardi, not that you need any more.
Well, yeah, the Femininus will pick up sand and throw it around.
Yeah, but he's
But
a
it's
little
such a
fish this
small
big. It's not
fish.
like it's gonna. He's not like the
He's
Lenardi.
not doing damage like the Lenardi, see.
Yeah, you can see all the particulate. But do you think some of that particulate's also helping to feed the corals as well?
I think so too. Yeah. Yeah. Some of the smaller stuff.
Now, what
probably
size
some
substrate was this when you put it in? Because this is the same. You haven't added any more over the years either.
No. It was that. What are the finest stuff that
Is that
Carib Sea
oolite?
makes? Oolite.
Oh, it was a Carib Sea
Carib
Oolite
Sea
live.
oolite. Yeah.
The live sand?
And that's light
Yeah.
anyway. I mean.
Yeah. So when I first put it in and turned my pumps on, it just blew away from here. Everywhere it was blown away. So I let it blow away, and then I added coarser sand here. That blew away. And then I just started throwing rubble here. And you can still see bare spots. This is all from the water circulation blowing sand away. Yeah.
Now, what's the oldest coral in here now?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're all
Through the
pretty
ye-
old.
you know,
I mean,
through
all the acros,
All the acros are new.
they are 5 years old.
Okay.
The oldest acro in here would be 5 years old. Because back when whenever Miami Mac now was 2006, 2000 somewhere there.
6 or
no,
7?
No, not 6. No, 2010.
10. Okay, so
10
7
or
years
11,
ago.
10 or 11.
Yeah, around there.
So 5, 6 years ago, when my tank went through this whole problem of overheating, and then the flatworm issues, I just took all the acros out and restarted with the acros.
Right.
But some of the other stuff in here, that's been here forever. Like this little guy, this guy here, not
This
little
little
guy.
guy.
Not
little
little
guy.
Basketball
anymore.
in the middle.
That's
That's
the
not
size of a
little
dime.
anymore, but that was the size of a dime when I got it from Jake Adams when he was an undergraduate student studying in South Carolina. I went to give a talk, and he then took me to see the lab, and he gave me 2 pieces of coral. One disappeared somewhere over the years, but this one survived, and you can see how big it is now. That's the only reason I have it in the tank. It's got, all my corals have good memories associated with them. Right? So that's Jake's coral. I wanted it to grow bigger than Jake's head.
There you go.
You're halfway there.
How old is the Pavona, the green?
That's not very old. That's probably only 2, 3 years old.
Okay, but it's grown
Yeah.
really fast.
Yeah, that was my other goal, was to get a nice big ball of Pomona cactus.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
But you got the grafted cap
Yep,
growing
that
over.
one came from you.
Yep.
Right? So
Yeah, but what's interesting, if you'll notice that, it's lost
Yeah.
the bright green color that it had in the other tank.
That only happened in the last, what, 3, 4 weeks ago? Yeah, all of a sudden, it just
Lost the
went
bright,
from
vivid greenness.
bright green to this dull green looking thing.
Yeah.
And a couple of his other Montippers have also lost their
all
vividness.
the other green Montes did the same thing.
But he didn't add anything new or change anything dramatic that we could come up with, like lighting or additives or alkalinity,
No.
some of the usual.
I mean,
Right.
the green acros are fine.
Right.
So it's something to do with the Montes. And even this Langside cap was much bright greener.
Yeah.
It's kind of gone dull. It'll come back someday, I hope. Yeah. I'll never know what the real reason is.
Right.
And you haven't really had any major pests in here, like acre-eating flatworms or.
Well, that one time. I mean,
Yeah,
the first,
after.
I lived with it for the first 5, 6 years of my tank.
Right.
But after I reset that, then pretty much they've all gone. Occasionally I'll get red bugs, but those are easy to get rid of.
But I've only found red bugs to be problematic if the corals are stressed. If they're not stressed, they just sort of hang out.
Yeah, they don't really do much.
No.
I mean, maybe if you have small frags, they can.
Yeah,
harm
they
it.
can damage
When
those.
you have big corals, I mean, they don't do anything. Yeah. But yeah, I get rid of them just in case I have to give frags to Mike. I don't give it to him, so I can't get rid of them.
I dip everything. I dip everything you give me anyway, Sanjay. It's a two-way street.
So yeah, there hasn't been any other
Yeah.
major pests. Like I said, except for these wormatids that are everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
And then as far as the 10 years old, what about equipment? What's the oldest piece of equipment that you have? Is it the skimmer?
The skimmer.
So the skimmer.
He had one of his
The
grad students build it,
homemade.
didn't
No,
you?
I built it
Oh,
myself.
you built that yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I thought you were going to rebuild it because it was all put together.
It's being held together with the Epo putty.
Yes, that's right. Because we talked about that the last time.
Yeah,
And it's still being
going.
held by Repo
Yeah.
Putty. You were supposed to build a new one over the summer.
I didn't do
It's
it.
building a plastic box, Sanjay.
It's working.
It's not the
You're an
point.
engineer. This should be
It's
easy.
not a priority. It's working.
That's right.
And when it come home and there's a flood and it's not working anymore.
It's working fine.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, that's the oldest piece of equipment. That equipment is by 20. I built it when we moved into this house, and I had my 180.
Right.
Oh, so that was the same
Right.
skimmer that was on the 180?
Yeah.
You didn't up it for the 500?
Everybody said that's not going to be enough for your 500. I said, you guys are all wrong. I'll prove you wrong. And I'm still running it.
Decades later, plural.
You got your money out of that.
Yeah.
Now, with so many fish, you're feeding this 3-4 times a day?
Depends.
Well, if you have to be here, obviously,
Right.
for one.
At least twice a day.
Okay.
Once is automatically fed. So I have an automatic feeder that dumps pellets in here. I like my fish to be eating pellets because it makes it so much easier when I travel. And then when I come back from work, I'll put in frozen foods. So at least they get fed twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. Yeah.
Now your fish all keep their colors, so I have to assume you're doing something, because a lot of fish tend to fade over time if they're not good nutrition.
Not had issues with fish fading colors.
No, but even your wrasses have kept their colors.
Yeah, generally, for the most part. I mean, I don't have any issues with them fading.
No, but like your red-headed wrasse, which has a tendency to really just...
No, he's bright red.
He's bright red and he's
yeah.
thriving in here.
Right.
How long have you had him? A year and a half?
When did you get him from me, Tony? Tony found him in some store in Pennsylvania.
Oh, at least 4.5, 5 years.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah.
not, you had him upstairs, though, for
I
a
had him
while.
upstairs for
Yeah.
a long time.
Okay.
Because I was afraid to put him in here with the Lenardi.
Yeah.
And then he was getting cramped in there. 29 gallon was too small for that red-head wrasse.
Yeah.
It needed more room
Yeah.
to swim.
Yeah.
So I brought him down here. Luckily, there was no fighting with the Lenardi.
Well, the one thing in this
He
tank,
gets
there's so
along.
many places to hide for a small
Yeah,
fish.
but it's surprisingly, even with so much space, some fish will fight.
Well, you don't add
Yeah.
new fish in here very often.
They'll fight. They'll fight each other somehow.
Do you acclimate them? You put them in a plastic box, or you just dump them in? After you quarantine, of course.
Nah, they kind of get dumped in. After they're quarantined, they're eating, they're kind of healthy. They can take some beating.
Yeah.
That's my criteria.
Yeah.
It takes some beating. If it can, it goes in.
It takes some beating.
If it can,
You
it
do that with
goes
the
in.
corals, too. They put
You
them in, they
know.
live, they're great, they don't.
That's
So
right.
yeah, I mean, if it can't take a beating, it's going to get beaten,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if it can't take any beating, then we're in trouble.
Right. Right.
Now, after the disaster 5 years ago, you also switched over your lights to LEDs from
Right.
halides at about the same time, right?
Right.
So you've gone through the second generation, and now you're on the fourth
I had the
generation.
Gen 2 Radions, and last January, like somewhere around there, I switched to the G4s. So really like those quite a bit. Running them at full 100% most of the time.
Now, do you want to switch the lighting and show what you can do with just the blues on? Because
Yeah,
from my point of view, a lover of blue light, when he turns on just the blues, it is one of the most dazzling displays.
Dazzling.
Now, this is nice. It's just not dazzling. Let's be honest.
It's just to convince,
No, it is.
convince
It's
Mike
it's
that all
me.
the colors he sees in his tank are here.
Yep. This is when I know these are my corals. They look like my corals once he puts the blue lights on.
There you go.
There you go.
I'll turn off everything
What we're
just
gonna
blue.
do is we are going to that.
This is what Mike's tank looks like.
My tank is not this blue except in the morning. Only in the morning and from 10:30 to 11. Sit down there and get baked and look at the blue lights. It's all good. But you can see how these corals look a lot more like the pictures we see. And under the white light that he runs them on, the corals are growing and spectacular. But once you put the blue lights on, I don't know how well this is going to transfer over to the video. But if you saw this in person, the coloration is pretty impressive. I mean, these look like the corals that we see online all the time. Oh, I see the piece I gave you. It's doing good.
Yeah, it's gone red.
Yeah, no, the one that's purple and red and yellow.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
give it some more time and it's going to turn like the rest of them.
No, it isn't.
It will.
No,
It will.
In my tank, it has stayed that color.
It will.
No. You just need to put more blue light on to keep those other colors. I got to take a picture of that too.
You know?
We've talked about this a lot. There's not much really you want to add. If there are there any other fish? I know another gem tank, but are there any other fish or any other corals you'd really like to add to this tank?
I'll move my gem tank down here at some point.
Well, now that they're getting more reasonably priced, I'm sure you're going to get another. Are there any odd angels or wrasses?
I wouldn't mind a few more of the pygmy angels. Some other different ones that are not that common.
Okay.
I want to pair up my multi-bar.
You'd probably get a trio.
And what else would I want in there? Oh, some other Genicanthus. I used to have a trio of Bellas in here.
Yeah.
I only have the one female left now.
Oh, okay.
So I need to add some of those.
Okay.
I think that's about it. I mean, I find some small fish.
Some
that,
dither fish
you
that
know,
just.
that hang around and they're kind of cool, show themselves once in a
I'm
while.
surprised you don't have any Kupang damsels. The
I
vivid
do.
blue with the yellow?
I do.
'Cause
There's
don't
only
see
one
them.
left now.
Oh, okay. Because there used to be a bunch, I thought.
No, I had 4 of them in here, but over 10 years they kind of
Yeah.
only one left now. They aged and died.
Well, speaking of which, what's the oldest fish? The hippo?
The hippo has been in this tank ever since I set up the tank.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
saving Dory story.
Yeah,
Sanjay
that was
actually
a
saved
story
Dory
that
from the
picked him up-
toilet.
Picked them off of the floor here.
Put him in the toilet, took him out of the
Right,
toilet, put him in
took
the
him out
tank.
of the
And you talk about adding nudibranchs. I don't even want to go there, Sanjay.
Hey, I'll do anything for a fish.
Yeah.
To save a life, I'll do anything.
That's right.
How many Banggai cardinals do you have?
2.
Okay.
I try to put more, but they always end up as 2.
Yeah, they always kill off all the.
And one of them is carrying babies most of the time.
Yeah, the male has them now. You
Yeah.
can see. That's why I was asking how
I
many.
never see any survivors.
Well, with the wrasses in here, as soon as they're spit out, it's food. So
And I haven't seen them in the overflow or anywhere either. Sometimes
again,
you
you
find
could have
them-
Tony sitting here at night with a net, scooping up the jocular eggs and the baby Banggai cardinals. Tony, come on.
Those got better
I've told
things to
Sanjay
do.
before, we'll try and breed joculators if you want, but
That's where the money is. Breeding a clownfish, forget. You got joculators, tank bred.
Just grow the algae. I'll do the rest. Algae and copepods. You do those, and I'll raise the fish.
There you go.
That's the one.
We got this on tape now. We're holding them to this. I can lay claim to the first pair of tank braised joculators. I was going my tank.
I think somebody will beat me to it. There are more accomplished breeders out there
Yeah.
who can do a much better job than I can.
That's what you should have done in your sabbatical year. You were coming off sabbatical. That would have been your claim to fame.
Nah.
You would have been the only 2-time winner of Aquarist of the Year for doing that.
No, there are better people who can breed fish.
Well, is there any other equipment you'd want to put on this?
Yeah. I would definitely want a alkalinity monitor.
That worked.
That has been my.
It works.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Exactly.
There's a caveat to
Yeah,
that.
there's a
There's,
caveat,
there's
yeah,
lots
yeah.
lots of alkalinity monitors out there. Unfortunately, they're iffy at best.
'Cause that's the
in our experience.
Yeah, yeah.
I had to make poor Tony drive from his house 2 hours away because I had a problem with my custom reactor over the holidays.
Yep. No, I know.
So that's the only one thing I worry about is alkalinity.
Yep.
That's
Because you
okay.
get a spike or
I
a
can't
quick
deal-
drop. That's
I
what would be the
can't
fastest
deal with-
way to
I
wipe
can
stuff.
deal with anything else in the tank. High nitrates, high phosphates, low calcium, low magnesium. Doesn't cause a problem.
No, below alkalinity
know,
or high alkalinity that spikes.
Alkalinity jumping up and down
Yeah.
causes
And
a problem.
oftentimes you don't see the problem right away. You see it 2
No,
weeks, 3 weeks,
that's
a
right,
month, 6
right.
weeks later, and you're going, what caused the problem? Well, you have to go back to, that happened 6 weeks ago, and you don't think about it.
That's what we were thinking happened to my green color on the Montes.
Oh, you had an alkalinity?
Yeah, because my custom reactor
Oh,
stopped
okay.
working.
Yep.
The tube got defective. It wasn't pumping water in, and alkalinity started to drop.
Yeah.
This tank, it drops 2 DKH in a day.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, with
Yeah.
how fast you grow everything. And you keep your alkalinity high.
10.
That's high.
It's not that high.
Most people would consider 10 high.
I've run it at 12.
Right.
See, when I run at
14.
12,
I've
my,
gone to 14. You know, at 14, 15, you start to see the chalices start to croak.
yeah,
Yeah,
start to slough off, yeah. So
But-
I've had that happen at 12.
But some of the corals were getting colors that they don't have now.
You should just use the blue
You
light.
know?
It's easier
It's
than messing
that-
with the
no,
alkalinity.
no. You take that green coral, the Loripes,
Yeah.
that one had blue tips when the alkalinity was at 14.
Oh, really?
it's
Yeah.
also yellow at 14.
And so a little yellow and blue tips. Now it's all kind of green.
Yeah, it's back to solid green
Yeah.
at 10.
So, yeah, you can manipulate some of the colors with some of these things. You know, you push them to the level of stress,
Yeah.
and they start getting different colors. Sometimes.
Well, there's the ultra low nutrient.
Yeah.
There's also probably an ultra high nutrient
It
level
might
that
be
does the same
not
thing.
just nutrient level, ultra high alkalinity.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, people are always surprised when I tell them I run my LEDs at 100%.
Yeah, and you did it from the day one. It's not like you
yeah.
gradually.
Right.
They do have acclimation timers on these. You know that.
It doesn't matter. I mean, there are some corals in here that when I get them and I put them, they bleach out for a while
Yeah.
because it's just way too much light for them. But they all come back, and then they come back and they can withstand that light.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or they
They
die and you
adapt.
pick them off and throw them away.
They don't die from the lighting. I don't think they die from the lighting.
And so now on the tank, you've added a couple things though since we were last showing this tank. Meaning, I'm pretty sure you
Which
have
was when?
Last
about
March.
a year-ish.
Last
ago.
March?
Yeah, I think you have the.
Oh, I got
algae
a bigger reactor for the algae.
Yeah, how you
Yeah.
liking
You got the Pax Bellum.
The Pax Bellum.
You got the bigger Pax Bellum.
I got the biggest one they make.
And how does that do for
Yeah.
keeping nitrates and phosphates? What are those levels like?
I don't usually check, but they're on the higher side still.
0.1,
that's what I
0.2, 0.5 for phosphate?
Phosphates is somewhere between 1.5 and 0.2.
0.125 and 0.2.
0.125.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want the people thinking he keeps it at 1.25. That's a little high.
No, that might be
Yeah.
too much high, but
0.125 and
0.125,
0.2.
0.2,
And nitrates 10, 20.
usually somewhere in the 10 range.
Okay.
And how often are you pruning, cropping, whatever you want to call it?
How often does Sony come here?
Once a month, once every 2 months.
No, we usually, it's on a cycle now. It's like I'll crop a third, a third, a third.
I'm sorry, with the reactor.
Oh,
Because
the reactor?
Oh.
Yeah.
for the reactor, probably 2 months you have to clean
Well,
it.
okay, so not too often then.
What are you taking out? 2/3 of the Cato and letting it grow back?
Actually, more than 2/3. I leave a few wisps in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right, because
I mean, it's full right now. It needs to be cleaned.
Okay.
There's no light coming out of that potato.
Tony, you're on for. You got a
If you
busy
want,
night ahead
we
of
can
you,
open
Tony.
it,
Right, we'll
and
check
you
it
can
out.
take a look and see what comes out of there.
Right. Yeah, because
Yeah.
after a while they become ineffective.
Because we did that
if
in
they don't
January. I
So
think
6 weeks
January.
ago,
6 weeks ago.
crop. Okay.
and it's packed already.
It's packed. It's packed.
That could be causing the Monty stuff too.
There's so many things that could be causing.
Yeah,
it.
it's all,
We'll
as
never
we
know.
said, it's all plates on a stick.
You know,
You
but
got to
it's
keep all
always-
the plates going on the stick by
It's
testing
always,
this and doing
it's
that.
always the last thing I do. We'll fix it, and that'll be it. Right?
Yeah, but as
That's
we
what
said,
most people would do.
but it's usually the
But
thing
I
you
would
did
do
too
that.
before, because nothing changes like anything overnight. It always takes time. But you did this, okay, I didn't see it in a week. I'm going to try this. Well, what you did a week ago is now kicking in. So it's just something to keep in mind. Take your time doing changes and then document them.
See, I'm with Tony because those reactors, especially with the macroalgae, if you don't constantly prune, they do nothing, right? And
Yeah.
if they're not growing, then
Yeah,
They're not
they're
taking
not going
nutrients
to
out.
Right,
nutrients
exactly.
out.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. See,
See, now you got to get a composter for all the Cato you're getting out there. Compost it, see, for your plants.
Right, right.
You know, if I didn't feed that much and, get my fish starved and
Sure.
Yeah.
get my coral starved.
No, but
be a
that's one of the
different
things.
thing.
If you look at the fish, they all
Right.
have nice fat guts. None of them are skinny behind the head. I mean,
No.
when you keep fish this long and this healthy,
Yeah.
obviously they're well fed. Because the other thing is, if you don't feed them, they start finding corals that they like to pick on,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
clams, or something. They'll always find something to eat.
Sure. And then we were going back into the pruning or the cropping of the tank. You're still doing that a lot, right? Because they're growing like weeds.
Yeah, once it gets
To
every
this
3
level.
months, we pretty much have to prune parts of it. And generally, I found if I prune too much at one time, it causes a problem. It takes a little longer for the tank to.
What do you think it's from
resettle down.
excess mucus being sloughed off and the corals being stressed, or what do you think it's
I don't know
from?
what it is from. Could be, from that. Just the dynamics change.
Mm-hmm.
So if I would do it, I would do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Or if you go to a frag swap and then you can just take a whole bunch from everywhere.
Bunch of little
Yeah,
pieces.
but it's still not enough. You still have to do more than the frag swap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Here with the cooler.
Yep, and with a 500-gallon tank coming, lots of space.
You should wait for the tank to come and then get the big corals from here.
I just want the small corals and start them growing out, and then I'm used to what I'm doing. 'Cause I made room in the frag tank just for visiting today.
So we got 10 years, and then equipment-wise,
20 years skimmer, probably a 2-year on the Paxabellum.
Yeah, I had the smaller one before that, which was,
Wasn't big enough for
it
this.
wasn't meant for this tank at all.
And how long ago
It was
that?
actually meant for my 55,
Oh.
but since I-
55, 500, one
It's
decimal
just-
point.
Here and there. So I was just running that here.
And the Destaco's been up for about a year?
Yeah, it's a little over a year.
Yeah, because I got mine
Yeah.
started in May.
Yeah, I put mine in January of last year.
And
Yeah,
the lights are a little over a
a
year.
little over a year.
And what else? Power heads, basically
Yeah.
still running primarily
The same thing.
Vortex and
Yeah. The same.
a gyre.
and you
Yeah,
have-
but from what my estimate was, you basically are running 60 times the tank's volume per hour. You're running roughly 30,000 gallons, so that's 60 times. Because when I did an analysis of Masters tanks, you just had the highest flow by far.
Still not enough.
Yeah.
And if you just look at the tank now with no fish, nothing moves. It's like stagnant.
I don't want to tell you this, but these are stony corals. They're not supposed to be moving around.
Everything's stagnant. That's the reason I put fish in there, lots of fish.
Right.
No,
And
but
then I had
the
to
Xenia
cave-
I gave
then
you
I
is
had
still
to cave
moving.
in and put some other moving stuff.
The Xenia I gave you is
Xenia.
moving.
Right? That's the Xenia that Tony told me was going to become Xenia from hell.
I told you,
And
Tony,
I kept
it
telling
stays
him
in
it's
one
not.
spot. It doesn't grow over the
Not gonna be
acros.
Xenia from hell.
Well, you can't be right all the time.
Roseanna will disagree with you. She'll tell you I am. You're still my bride. We're still on our honeymoon. You're supposed to agree.
Yeah, I put a little torch coral there.
It's over the days that I-
Yeah.
Put a torch in there. That's it. There's only two things that actually can move on their own.
Well, you still have some gorgonians in the back.
Yeah, I moved them in the back. A little bit.
And the
of
gonies
dumping.
move a little bit.
Yeah, I've been starting to add gonies now. These probably were not there last year.
No, they weren't.
Maybe this one was there. It was small then,
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's grown quite a
the
bit.
in there. Yeah.
and then I added a few others. Other than that,
Yeah, the Duncans look a little thinner.
Yeah, I took the whole chunk of colony
'cause
out and I
they're-
trimmed
yeah.
it back down to just a little.
Well, and you took all the paleothoas that were in
Yeah,
there.
there-
Basically,
this
to
was
kill
all
everybody.
full.
That's right.
This was
Yeah.
all full of
Yeah, the
those
cinnamon.
big cinnamon polyps.
Yeah, there was enough there to wipe out a whole town with paleotoxin. But
Yes.
So those are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
did you give them send them in a box to somebody dry?
they got shipped out.
That's right.
Somebody actually took those?
Yeah, they sell them.
No, I know. It
There's a
just
market for that
amazes me.
stuff.
No, I know.
You can sell them for $10 a polyp if you wanted to.
Yeah. So the big question is, what about that coral about your newly wedded bride?
We have the Roseanna coral, the one named after my bride, and Sanjay has the only piece of it.
Really?
Yes, so I'm getting a piece today.
Okay.
It's expensive.
I don't-
coral.
It's an expensive coral,
So
Sanjay.
he's gonna pay me for that one frag.
First
He's
one
gonna
frag.
pay me a whole bunch of money for that
first
one
off,
frag.
what is it called?
It's called the Roseanna Acropora.
So it's the only one on the planet as we understand it today.
Sanjay's the only one that has it, as far as I know.
Okay.
Mike collected it apparently in Fiji.
Okay.
And
David
as
the
usual,
Sanjay.
as usual, he kills his coral.
I killed the coral
I'm the
off.
only one who kept it alive.
Okay.
This is why I always tell everyone, bank your corals with someone you trust.
There it is. Okay. And so for now, we'll see. Next time we'll come back. We'll see if you still have it.
He still have it.
I still
Okay.
have it.
So let's keep it there. And right now we're gonna say it's priceless, just like his wife.
Yeah.
Even my wife is more so than a coral, which
Good
I've never said
answer,
before.
Mike.
This is the first time I've ever seen Mike pay me for anything.
That's right. And make sure you keep
But
that.
as you see, 3/4 of these corals eventually came from my tank. So it's. But Sanjay's done better with them than I have because he keeps them alive. I'm constantly tinkering, which is one of my shortcomings. On the 500, I think I have it down to a science. I'm not going to tinker. That's the key.
Glue them in place.
Leave them in
let
place.
go.
Let them go.
Hold it. I have you on video saying I'm not going to overstock. And
No, I will
I'm not
overstock.
going to
That's-
tinker.
I'm not going to tinker. Overstock. Some people consider this overstocked, but 90% of these corals started as little frags, and Sanjay just grows them out as good as anyone. I'm going to do pretty much the same thing like I did with my 1200 and previous 540. Just let them grow, let them go. I have pretty much many of the corals I've ever wanted are sitting in the frag tank growing out. I'm going to get rid of some of the big things that aren't that exciting. like some of the Acropora, like some of the
Yeah, I don't
Stellophoras.
have any of those in here.
Some
They
of
grow
them,
too fast.
yeah, some of
And
the
it's
some of
just
them on
too
tipper,
much work.
yeah, some of them on tipper caps, things like that aren't going to go into the 500. So there's going to be more room for quote unquote exotic things and interesting things and colorful things. Not that I don't like those corals, but they grow too fast. I'm trying to make this tank so I don't have to do constant work on it. Sanjay doesn't have to do constant pruning on it. If he wants to prune today or next week or next month, it'll be fine. But if you're growing a cap that suddenly starts growing over things, or up and around and over top of it, which is one of the things they love to do in my tank, I'm not going to have that happening anymore. Because I notice it and I go, uh-oh, it's 11 o'clock at night, it's time to do it. Next thing I know, it's 2 in the morning because I'm pruning a stupid coral because I've seen it starting to grow over something. Sanjay doesn't have those issues for the most part.
And so we've got that on tape, and we'll just make sure that
And
we
it'll get on
it's
tape that
okay.
I actually gave him his money. I gave him the money back.
That's right. That's right. It's recorded. It's documented.
I don't sell corals to Mike,
No.
and he doesn't sell to me either. So.
No,
That's right.
we've traded
This is
millions of dollars of corals with one another.
This is what makes us old-time reefers.
Yeah, this is the reefer's code. We still believe in trading and banking with our friends and laughing and having fun doing this. It's not a business, it's an adventure with us. We still take our road trips, and pretty much we laugh the whole time we're on the road trip.
The other day I heard somebody in a talk called me an old school reefer. And I felt like asking them, what is that?
It's someone that still trades with people, doesn't do this for money, and it's still a hobby.
You know?
Which, unfortunately for a lot of people, it's become a business. And I understand that, because there's more demand in the hobby now than there's ever been. So anything that's beautiful like this, there's a demand for. But in the old days, when him and I used to give talks, we used to go give the talk, then afterwards it'd take us around the tanks, and I'd go, okay, I'd take a frag of that and a frag of that. You'd come out with 15 or 20 frags, and that's how things spread. Now,
Now if I give you a frag of that and a frag of that and a frag of that, that's already up to $1,000.
yeah.
Right.
Or if they gave them to us, they'd won $1,000 after we gave the talk. So we still trade with people.
Yeah, I still have a lot of good friends that
Yeah, we have.
are also old school reefers.
What's funny is the last time we were driving, we were talking about how many friends in the hobby we both have that we've had now for over 20 years.
Right.
There's a lot of people that have dropped out, which we also discussed, but we still have a lot of quote-unquote old-timer friends that have been in this hobby for 20 years that we can still trade and do stuff with, and that we still talk to. And if we have a problem, we give them a call, because everybody knows a little bit about something. And as long as you share with one another, you don't have major catastrophes. I mean, unless the heater goes or the chiller goes, and now that we're running LEDs, the chiller isn't quite as much of a problem as it used to be.
Or a hurricane hits and you lose power.
Yeah.
Sure.
We all have generators now, and we all understand why we don't want to have alkalinity spikes. All the things that used to cause a lot more catastrophes, or acro-eating flatworms, or in my case, giving people Montipore-eating nudibranchs, things like that. There's a lot of ways, a lot of things that we all do to look out for each other. And that's the other thing, and the old school reefers still look out for one another. And that's sort of what makes it still a lot more fun for us. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people don't have quite the fun that we do doing this.
And I think that's why the videos kind of do so well with you two, right? You
Yeah.
guys still have fun and people get that.
Well, we don't take this particularly seriously. This is our hobby. I mean,
Right.
we're both curing cancer for our real job,
It's
so.
a serious hobby, but it's fun.
No, it's a serious, it's expensive, it's time
it is
consuming.
serious, you know, because you're dealing with life.
Yeah, and we every time you lose a coral or a fish, you feel bad about it.
Right.
And you're like, what did I do? And you try to backtrack and figure out what you did wrong. I mean, and then you feel the stupid things, like you have a space this open and 3 fish jump through the space,
Jumps out of
and you're
it.
going, how can they possibly find that? It's frustrating, but we then know, okay, I'm gluing this thing shut forever. Or a coral falls on another one, you know not to let those 2 corals sit on one another. Where at times in the past when we were younger, you'd be lazy, oh, I'll get it tomorrow. Well, something starts and
yeah, at times like, see that one back there? There's like a dead spot there.
Yeah.
Those 2 corals are touching, and they've been touching for a long time. And I think finally it got to the point where
one killed the other.
part of it just went. Right? It's not like it's killing the whole thing. Just that part died,
Right.
and it stopped. So yeah, if I had been more diligent, I should have cut away around it, you know, all that. But it's only a matter of time before I'm cutting it again a few weeks from now. It's one of those things that at some point needs heavy pruning, or you live with part of it dead, which is fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
That's,
You know.
that's
When
what
I was
age
here-
and maturity brings.
But as I said, when I was here in November, he had a lot of corals that were fighting. The tank wasn't where is now, but then a month later, where he cleared up all the dead stuff, it looks spectacular again. And they grow in so fast in his tank. I remember when your pearlberry was no bigger than the tip of my pinky.
Yeah.
That's roughly 18 months ago.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I have pictures of it from
Yes.
18 months ago showing
Yeah.
how fast you can grow something, or how fast he can grow something.
Yeah, I got that one from, I can't remember the guy's name, I feel bad now. But Arizona.
Yeah.
I was giving a talk there and went and visited this guy's tank, and he had this nicest colony of pearlberry, and he gave me a frag.
Mm-hmm.
I brought it back, and
Yeah, that's
There
what
it
it's
is.
going into. Because you cleared off this whole section to put in these frags.
yeah,
Like this green piece down here I also gave you.
yeah.
That was a piece I hand collected in
It
Fiji
was growing too fast.
14 years ago.
But sometimes strange things happen, right?
Yeah.
The coral was growing so fast in here,
They overshadowed themselves.
becoming invasive. I chopped it off, and saved a small piece and got rid of the rest. And now that little small piece is not growing as fast. I just
Right.
decided now I'm not happy, you cut me out.
Right.
I'm not gonna grow for you anymore.
I'm done.
It's like they do have a mind of their own sometimes.
Well, that's the thing. They'll all be growing fast, and all of a sudden they'll stop, and you think of what did I do to change things, or what's different. And sometimes it's as simple as just cleaning your lights. I mean, a lot of us neglect little small things, and something as simple as that. I mean, because I've run a par meter and found I had 25% less light because my lights were dirty.
I mean, obviously they can't keep growing forever. Otherwise, every single coral in the ocean would be the size of this room or larger, right? So they must have some limits to growth.
But then also gets us into the point that they reach a point where they start getting, instead of growth, they put that energy into reproduction.
That's why.
Because I'm sure you've probably had some corals reproduce in here, you just haven't seen it.
Not that I've seen it.
Yeah. But if, say, you'd put
I
three
mean, I found
different
eggs
colonies.
one time in corals. I mean, I snapped one time, and we did see eggs. So I didn't know it was eggs.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like blood, like red stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
But you
weird.
have a
So I
couple-
took a picture of it. Yeah.
Right.
And then one day I was showing it to somebody. He said, "Oh, that's really actually the eggs forming there." So,
Would it be interesting to see if those Oregon torts, which potentially could be from two different corals, although they're probably
no, they
from
are
the
the
original.
same. They are the same.
They're from the original same mother colony.
Because I got those from Ken,
Oh, okay.
and so it is the same coral.
Okay, so it's not going to reproduce.
No, they will. They could produce eggs, and
They'll produce eggs, but they're not going to self-fertilize.
no,
Yeah.
no.
So you need to get another colony from somewhere else that isn't from there. But are they all
I
from
really
the same
haven't put
clone?
the effort into getting the tank to the point where they'll spawn.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take some work.
Well, then you'd have to
You
manipulate the light,
manipulate the
block
light,
it, and
manipulate
feeding.
the temperature,
Yeah,
and a lot of feeding,
a lot more nutrients.
which kind of would make things difficult. But yeah,
So what's in store for the next 10 years?
I'm very tempted to start playing with the spawning of the corals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to get serious about it. Yeah, I'd have to put a black cloth here, make sure it manages the light. And
Or you
everything.
could just black out that over
Yeah,
there.
I could black out that too,
Yeah.
and then start adjusting all my times to match
Mhm.
some.
Yeah, because I'm sure you read
Cycles.
Jamie's paper based
Yeah, I
on
read
what he
Jamie's
did.
paper, and I'll just basically follow what Jamie is doing,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he's able to do it,
yeah, and he's able to get them to spawn
right?
not just once a year, but pretty much as often as he wants.
So,
So
it
when
can
you
be
have,
done,
Mm-hmm.
right? But he's not keeping a reef tank while he's doing it,
Right.
right?
yeah, he's growing the
Right.
corals,
He's growing
feeding
the
them,
corals, and
he's grazing them
His tanks are
specifically.
designed around heavy feeding of the corals. And it's got bare bottoms. These corals are raised off the bottom.
Well, you could actually just set up a
Yeah.
tank in the back just for
So-
growing them to spawn and doing it that way rather than doing it in your reef tank.
Yeah,
I mean, you have enough
could do.
frags to break stuff off and grow it out.
Yeah, another tank. Another. I'm kind of, this is enough.
It's never enough, you know that.
But I'll manipulate this once a little bit and see what happens.
So.
But then there's a risk, right? If they all spawn, I mean.
Yeah, if they all spawn, what would you do with that much?
Is it gonna
material?
crash my tank?
And you're gonna
Right.
foam the
You know?
skimmer out into the backyard.
It'll definitely could mess up my tank.
Yeah. That's why I say a separate tank that you can manipulate more. Because that's basically what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, you overfeed, turn it off, and just let the feed circulate, then dump it into a filtration tank, then dump it back in.
Hmm.
No, I'm not thinking this. I have enough ideas. I'm not thinking of doing a spawning tank.
Today.
Come on, don't.
Now.
No, maybe. I'm not saying ever. I'm saying no.
Maybe
Exactly.
maybe he's thinking of different kind of spawning now. Maybe he's thinking of a different kind of spawning now.
No,
Now
no,
that he's married, he's thinking of a different kind of spawning.
no, no.
That's right.
The
Perfect.
500-gallon tank is enough.
Pairs of shoes.
Yep.
So the next time.
Anything else?
So next time we come here, do you think that's going to be a spawning tank?
No,
No.
no. I'll play with this a little bit and see.
Well, what you can do is just manipulate a few things and see if you start to get eggs in the branches.
Well, that's what I tried one time. I tried to break a few branches and see if there were eggs in there, but we didn't see any.
Because, I mean, part of Jamie's hypothesis is you have to have a large enough colony.
Well,
Obviously,
there's a lot of colonies there.
you have enough colonies that are big enough
Yeah.
that if they would stop going into growth and start going into reproduction, they would be
Right.
relatively easy to test.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. So again, for the next 10 years for you.
I mean, I could get brave with fish in here.
Yeah, breed the joculators.
Not just breed, I'd start putting risky fish in here. Coral eating fish. Polyp eaters.
I'm surprised you didn't put any of the orange spots.
I had them for a while.
And they didn't live?
Well, the one started losing weight. The other one was fine. Yeah. Because I don't really care about polyp extension anyway. I don't have much great polyp extension on the corals anyway.
Yeah, I remember when you had a ton of polyps in it. We couldn't
No,
even see the
I-
colors on the corals.
I never get that much.
No, this is probably like 7-8 years ago. You had a lot of milliporas and they were all like,
Millies always have
they were like furry little bushes.
The
and-
millies always have that.
yeah.
But most of the others, I mean, they're not.
Yeah, you can even see the two millies up there still.
Yeah,
with
the
good
millies,
polyp
millies
extension.
have a little bit of polyp extension. This one always does. The Florida.
Yeah.
But like some of these other ones, you barely see the polyps in the daytime.
Yeah, at
They
night.
come at night and they're like, ooh, all the polyps are out.
Now, are you feeding these corals at all?
Directly,
At night? Are you throwing anything in? Amino acids?
I have some sample feeds I got, like from, what's this? The reef roids.
Mm-hmm.
I have those.
So
So
you
once
do-
in a while, I'll throw it in there.
Once a week, once every 2 weeks?
You know, it means nothing is on a.
No, I know that. That's why I'm
Nothing
doing
is on a-
general. I didn't say
Nothing
on
is on
that
a
eighth
regular
or-
basis, right?
Yeah.
I'll go one day, I'll come in and go, I should feed today. Put some in. Yeah. But yeah, I thrown that stuff in. You know, maybe it does something. I've got really cool sponge growths.
Underneath the rocks and in the sun.
In the overflow, there's this beautiful big sponge that's grown.
I have that blue one from you that's grown like crazy.
No,
It grows
no,
in spirals.
yeah, that one
you don't
grows
like
really-
that one.
Not anymore.
You don't have it
I used to
anymore?
like it. I still have it in the
Oh, okay.
overflow. But no, the other sponges, the true sponge.
The bulky, thick sponge, not
Yeah.
the spirally sponge.
Yeah.
The reddish or the yellowish?
No, it's yellowish.
Yeah.
You can see in the back.
Okay.
It's about this tall now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a nice little shape to it. The sump is full of yellow sponge and other things.
As I,
Partly when I feed these microparticles of food,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about feeding the corals as much
as the sponges.
as I'm like, maybe some of these other microfauna that's living around might benefit from it.
Right.
Well, also by benefiting the sponges, they tend to slough off, and some of the stuff that they slough off, supposedly some of the corals eat. So you could be.
Right.
I mean, there's so much interplay.
Yeah.
Because in my own experience, I found my tanks do much better when I have sponge growth than when I have minimal sponge growth. I mean, my corals will only really take off once I'm seeing sponges.
Well, it's part of the tank has to be mature enough to support the sponges.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Sure.
I mean, Steve Tyree
With
wrote that
me-
thing on cryptic sponges a long
with
time
my
ago.
tank with no filter socks and stuff, there's enough particulate stuff floating around
Yeah.
that I'm sure the sponges benefit from that.
Yeah, and also while you have a good skimmer, it's not a crazy skimmer that's sucking everything out of the tank. I mean, you're not running an oversized skimmer like a lot of us do.
I don't think there's any such thing as an oversized skimmer, but that's a different argument.
We'll save that for next time.
And on that note, that's probably a good place to cut it.
We'll be back.
All right.
Yes, we will. Thank you, gentlemen, for
Okay.
your time. Let's go look at
Thanks,
sponges.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's go look at the sponges.
Dum, dum, dum.
Look at the sponges.